What's up guys, Devin here, and I am in Medellin, Colombia, and I wanted to take some time to look at some of our favorite house plants growing outside in the ground. I think looking at what we consider house plants in North America or the Northern Hemisphere when they're in their native environments outside can give us some clues as to how they should look, how they can grow, and what they actually look like in nature. So the first plant is the great pothos. We can see pothos here. Pothos is it's always one of my recommended first plants for any beginner grower to start with because they're so darn easy. Here they're growing as kind of like a ground cover. Inside the home, they're great for filling out hanging baskets or for kind of weaving in and out amongst your other plants. And it's also a fantastic plant to do leaf cuttings. You can take literally one leaf just like this. You can put it in a glass of water over a few weeks. It will create some roots, and then you can plant that. The next plant you can see back there is the Schefflera, sometimes called the umbrella plant. Inside the house, I love it because it's one of the few indoor house plants that can really grow into like a shrub kind of look. So having some of these Scheffleras inside the house is a great way to fill in corners, to fill in areas that are generally kind of voids. Growing that inside the house, very, very easy to grow. Next, here we can see some Calathea. I love this one outside in nature because when the breeze is blowing, the leaves just kind of flutter to and fro. And inside the home as an indoor house plant, it is really great for creating sort of an airy look because the stems are very narrow with large leaves, but they're very strong stems. So this is a plant that doesn't need a ton of sunlight. It can be perfect in kind of a bright filtered room. If you're looking for something that's not in that southern facing window, great option with the Calatheas. And then here we can see another classic, the snake plant, previously known as Sansevieria. Now it's considered a Dracaena. But regardless of the change in Latin name, when it comes to house plants, this and the pothos, my number one and number two favorite first plants because they are very easy. As you can see, we're in a pretty shady location, but it does just as well in a very sunny location. Exceptionally versatile. It's also really great for doing propagation by division. I have a nice video about dividing snake plants by division. You can check it out on my channel. And it also is really great because they will send out they will create little baby snake plants, and that's kind of how they fill out over time. You can see clearly how these are just getting started. They send out these runners and then they create these babies that will then grow and fill out wherever you have them planted. You can leave it just like this, or you can dig it out and create a brand new plant just like that. Very, very easy. Okay, let's continue the tour and I'll show you some more of my favorites. Let's go. One of the very first plants that I ever grew inside the home was a Dracaena fragrans marginata, I believe. And here you can see a bunch of different Dracaena. This is also another indoor house plant must. Here in Medellin, they get a lot of very kind of rapid, heavy rainfalls, good amount of humidity throughout the year, but also there will be times where there might be no rain for a little while. And what I'm getting at is that this is a plant that doesn't mind being showered with rain or being, showered with a lot of water at any given time. It can also handle a pretty good amount of time without water. So it's very versatile as well. It can handle, if you go on vacation for a couple of weeks, this is going to be a plant that remains looking good inside your home. So consider adding Dracaena into your home. Look at how they create this beautiful clumping area around here. Fills in very nice. I also have a really great video on these plants on how to propagate these by stem cuttings and tip cutting. So check out that one as well. Now let's continue our journey. We have some really lush plant life coming up. So if you have a houseplant garden and you have at least 10 plants and one of those is not a philodendron, go get a philodendron right now and add it to your collection. Philodendrons are generally, I would say, probably my favorite genus of houseplants because they come in a really wide different variations. Here you can see, I don't know the species of philodendron that we're looking at here, but it covers this entire block. It grows beautifully. It has this really wonderful split foliage and it just kind of splays out. So you can imagine inside the home, you know, on a coffee table or on a bookshelf, on top, it just kind of overflows beautifully. That's what I love about the philodendrons. And later on, we're going to see a few more different styles of philodendron as well. So you can kind of get a sense of the different variations, but they're all exceptionally easy. That's what I love about the philodendrons. They're all very, very easy to grow. Look at this beautiful lushness. And out in nature, this is not going to happen inside your home, but outside what happens is the base, the trunk gets extremely woody. This is a very thick woody shrub, and you can see how the roots grow above the soil after a little bit of time. This is probably 10, 15 years old. So you can see just how they look outside. And over time, inside the home, you know, you may get a thicker, woodier stem as a result of your tender, loving care. So let's keep going. I actually haven't noticed this one yet, but here you can see this beautiful aloe, which many of us know the wonderful health effects of using aloe. If you're growing aloe inside your home and you cut off some foliage, you can use that on your cuts and burns like I have here, and it's going to help that salve really nicely. And here you can see all these different beautiful clumps. These can each be, if you have one growing and it creates these little baby pups, you can take them out and dig them out and divide them and put them in more containers and filling out, and that's a really great way to fill out your indoor jungle. This is a plant, it needs to be, as a succulent, it really needs to be in that full hot sun. It needs exceptional drainage and it does not need to be watered all that regularly. Do grow large, they don't mind having that splash of rainfall, that splash of water every now and again, because their roots will definitely filter it out. Just make sure it has good drainage. Here they have rocks you can see, which definitely adds to the ability. This one is a ground cover all over the place. It's a great indoor plant, Tradescantia. I forget what the common name is, but this is another really great candidate for just kind of doing like a little cutting just like this, and then sticking this in some water. And over time, what's going to happen is they will create roots, and then you can replant them and fill out. I actually like to use this primarily if you have a really nice kind of upright growing house plant. Planting these at the base, it gets a really nice filled out kind of ground cover look, and then it will overflow. One of my favorite plants for that. I found this plant the other day, and every time I walk by it, I'm just enamored. I believe this is some sort of Alocasia, which has this great variation, this wonderful variegation, camo look. And this is the kind of thing that happens out in nature, out in wild. You know, you'll get like some crazy random variegation, and what a botanist would do is propagate this and create, you know, a plethora of them, and that's how they sell it and introduce them into the trade. Which I think is, you know, this sort of variegation is probably not going to happen inside your home, but when you're growing them outside in the wild or in, you know, cultivated space like this is the kind of gift that Mother Nature gives to us. Pretty cool. Now, if you're looking for a statement piece inside your home, look no further than various palms with their kind of, you know, regal look. This is a great selection for a corner of a sunny room, a sunny living room perhaps. And the way that they just kind of up and overflow is incredibly regal. That's why they're often called, like, you know, royal palms or however. As a houseplant, it's very easy, extremely long-lived. That's what I like about it. So let's continue our journey. More snake plant used as a bit of a hedging. So cool. Now, if you want some really beautiful foliage inside the home, Croton is a really cool looking plant. They kind of look like almost like acid washed, and they come in a lot of different kind of variations. I think every single Croton is a little bit different, which makes these plants really fun to have inside the home. And here you can see they kind of have a unique kind of upright. They're not super full, not super bushy, so they can, as a standalone specimen plant, they are perfect for that sort of functionality inside the home, and I think that's really cool. Everyone needs to have some sort of kind of specimen, really fun foliage indoor house plants. Okay, so maybe this isn't the greatest indoor house plant, but this is a Colocasia, one of the very fastest growing plants to grow from a bulb. You could have grown this back 3 months ago and over a warm, hot summer create beautiful foliage that looks like this. Sometimes the Colocasias are called the giant elephant ears, which its cousin, the Alocasia, also sometimes called the giant elephant ears, and I'll show you guys what the difference is between them. So the Colocasia is actually, this is going to be based for us in our northern hemisphere. Unless you're in Southern California or Florida, this will be a deciduous plant. You cut the foliage back at the end of the season, and then you overwinter it in a warm kind of shed or garage, and then it will grow back the following spring. Now the Colocasia has a little bit thinner foliage than the Alocasia, and I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a second. But it is a beautiful plant. If you have the right humidity and the right warmth, you can grow these inside the home year round. I have not had luck with that, but give it a try. That's what growing plants is all about, experimenting and figuring things out. Over here you can see one of the Scheffeleras, again, that umbrella plant used just to line this beautiful restaurant. Very low maintenance, very easy to care for, very, very stunning. Creates a super thick, lush look. And you can grow that inside the home with ease. My friend, he has a Scheffelera in his house that's like 20 feet tall, and he's been growing it for, I don't know, 10 years. And it is beautiful, a stunning piece of plant artwork. So here is another kind of philodendron. This is just as easy to grow as those other philodendrons we saw earlier, but a totally different look of foliage. I personally prefer this. It's a very thick, very kind of leathery look, and when I have foliage that is kind of like thick and leathery like that, what it says to me is it's very robust, can handle a lot of different kinds of indoor climates, very, very easy to care for. And check this out, they start out like this, and then as they open up, they will change from that kind of ruby to a nice, thick, solid green, and I think that is fantastic inside the home. So now we have the Alocasia, also called the giant elephant ear at times. Now this is going to actually remain evergreen inside the home, very easy. It's thicker than the Colocasia in terms of the foliage, and if you do live in a warm enough climate, it will remain evergreen year round. Has a slightly different look, different kind of growing habit. Absolutely phenomenal and beautiful. There's really nothing like it. And then let's finish with many of our favorite plant, the beautiful Monstera deliciosa. This plant has garnered, the eyes of many indoor houseplant enthusiasts over the last couple years because of the way that these plants grow. They are so beautiful. So this is a baby piece of foliage. Now the baby foliage will start off whole, and then as they grow in size, as the plant grows in size, what will happen is they get these Swiss cheese looking fenestrations, and that's really the hallmark of this plant, the beautiful Swiss cheese look. And what I love about it as well is, if I was living here, I could easily come here. I'm not suggesting it. I'm not saying it's good or a bad thing to do, but you could easily take one of these stems with the leaf on it, put it in a vase, and over 2 to 3 months you would get a nice amount of roots growing out of that you can then create a brand new plant. This is a perfect candidate for propagation by water of the leaves. And you can see this is a really beautiful climbing vine shrub kind of plant. Here out in Colombia, you see it lining the hillsides. Perfect here for kind of keeping that soil compacted. And as an indoor plant, it's one of the best. You can use a moss pole and allow it to climb inside, or you can just kind of let it be, let it do its own thing. Either way, it is also a very long-lived plant inside the home. You know, 10, 20, 30 years, no problem. Very, very low key, very low maintenance. Give it a sunny room and regular watering. That's about all you need to do with the Monstera, and you will be thrilled at its gorgeous foliage over its lifetime inside your home. Anyways, so I just wanted to go through some of my favorite houseplants, what they look like outside in nature, in the wild, and show you what you can expect by growing them, the sort of lushness that they bring. So I hope that gave you a couple ideas of new plants to maybe add to your home garden, some ideas of how to care for your plants, and just generally some beautiful plant life love. Anyways, I'm Devin Wallin, and I will catch you later.